Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have started. You can go ahead.
Okay. So, hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on whatever the part you are in, from India, from world. Okay. So today we welcome you Faridabad meetups. In Faridabad meetup, where we are going to talk about, especially on the Mulesoft Composer, how you can automate your business process. What could be the different use cases for using the Mulesoft Composer, and then we will see one of them working live as part of the demo. Before we go ahead, safe harbor statement: the speakers and the organizers are conducting these meetups as per their individual capacity. We are not representing our companies here. So the presentation or whatever we are going to talk through here throughout this complete meetup session, it's completely for the learning purpose. We are not responsible for any solutions or any kind of decision making. So you should not be influenced by the statements that I may make here during the session. So please make the decision, any purchasing decision, while you are any purchasing decision based on whatever the current system or current software is available in the market. And we are not promoting anything here, so it's not for promotional activities. So some housekeeping rules: recording is going to be uploaded into the meetup page within 24 hours. So if you want to further get the recording, you can get it within 24 hours in the meetup page, the same page from where you have joined today. Any questions you could put into the chat window. I might keep asking the questions here, and then you can give the answer into the chat. And feedback is really appreciated. If you could just provide us the feedback, that is like better and better for us, because that's how we all improve and we can keep giving back to the community. Now, who are all the organizers? You have already heard from Rohit and Mitali, and along with Rohit and Mitali, me and Pankaj are also leading the Faridabad group for Mulesoft. Pankaj is SME. He is Salesforce, not Salesforce, Mulesoft architect as Taylor and Francis and Informa Group company. And myself is basically, I'll take my introduction later on. But before we move forward, I would like to take a minute to say thanks everyone for joining today. We know that this is a weekend and it's really hard. It's really hard to choose between the learnings and the time that we wanted to spend with our friends and family, or maybe some travel plans that we have, because we hardly get 2 days a week. So that's my sincere thanks to everyone. And before I go ahead to the next slide, we really have a surprise for all of you. So any guesses what could be there in the next slide? You can put into the chat, or maybe you can ask something like, you can open your videos, not videos, like you can ask for the speaking ability, and we can give you. Lakshmi Kiran says vouchers, swags. Okay, Rohit, you're not eligible.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Lena says swag. We've got surprise gift swag. Okay, Mitali again. Okay, so I think no one even is there. Okay, and that is. I have already opened that in my screen. I'm not sure if you are able to take it. So this is our surprise. So we are announcing the first ever Mulesoft Dream In globally. It's happening for the first time in India, and this is coming this September. We're planning to organize in-person meetup that is going to be Delhi NCR. We are yet to finalize the venue, but it's most probably it's going to be in Gurgaon. So we would definitely need help from all of you, because this is not our event. We are just the mediators. We're just the people who are making it happen, but it's basically the event from all of us. This is for the whole community, and this is of the whole community. So we would like need help from you to spread this, and then let's make it a huge success. Okay, so if I talk about myself, my name is Amit Singh. I'm a Salesforce architect, Salesforce trainer, overall having 8 plus years of experience. That is Salesforce as well as in Mulesoft. So it's been 4 years I'm working in Mulesoft. And if I talk about my achievements, I've been awarded as Salesforce MVP, which is equivalent to Mulesoft Ambassador. So I've got the award 3 times. I've got 22 Salesforce certifications. I'm also a Mulesoft mentor. And my recent achievement is I've completed my master's in cloud and cloud and DevOps architect from Microsoft. And as you have also seen me in the previous slide, that I am a Mulesoft leader for Faridabad. And my main hobby is exploring the ancient in India. I'm more inclined towards my I'll say dharma. And these are some of the handles that I have. So my handle is same across all the social media, that is Cloudy Amit. So if you want to find me apart from these social media, you can easily find me with the same social handle. So let's talk about agenda. What we are going to cover here is we are going to cover what is Mulesoft Composer, what are its capabilities. Then we are going to talk about how you can access the Mulesoft Composer if you are a Mulesoft partner or if you are a Salesforce partner. Then what are the some of the use cases that you can use Mulesoft Composer. Then we will see your live working demo, and then we'll talk about what are the key features, what are the key benefits, as well as what are the limitations of Mulesoft Composer. So if we before I go ahead and talk about the Mulesoft Composer, how many of you have worked with Mulesoft Canvas or Salesforce Lightning Flows if you are from Salesforce background? Okay, please put into the chat window maybe yes or no or 0 or 1. Okay, so Lakshmi says he has not worked. So you have not worked on both Mulesoft and Lightning Flows. Okay, have worked with Composer but not Flows. Okay, so basically Mulesoft Composer is very easy. Mulesoft Composer flows are very easy to develop. These are just like the Mulesoft Canvas flows that you might have developed for developing the different APIs, or you might have developed the Salesforce Lightning Flows for performing some piece of business logic. So you will see, you will feel okay, this is very easy. So we talked about like Microsoft Composer is completely no code tool. That means you really don't need to write any tool to integrate with different applications, and it can integrate with more than 25 systems. And it has also given us the ability to use the custom connector. So if your system is not listed into the Microsoft Composer, you can always use a HTTP listener, not listener, to connect with your system. That means it is giving you the flexibility to connect any system available out there in the market, and with that too without writing a single code. It's just like a drag and drop, or it's just like a Salesforce flows where you click on a plus icon and then you just select whatever the intended target or the process that you want, and you can easily go ahead and implement that. So if you are a Salesforce partner, you can access Salesforce, like you can access Mulesoft Composer within your Salesforce org. One thing that you need to make sure is that Mulesoft Composer will always get installed into the production org. It cannot be installed into the sandbox for Salesforce, and that is same as for Mulesoft as well. There is no code required, as we talked about. It's really similar to Salesforce Flows and Mulesoft Canvas, and there are more than 25 plus pre-built connectors that you can integrate, like Google Sheets or NetSuite, Twilio, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Jira, Stripe, QuickBooks, ServiceNow. There are so many systems that you can integrate using Mulesoft Composer. So this is the latest picture that I have taken from the recent release from my Mulesoft Composer. So you could see here we've got 25 plus systems here that we can use for integrating, and we also have got a HTTP connector which says that okay, if you don't find these systems that you wanted to integrate, you have got a custom HTTP connector for you, and you can easily go ahead and utilize this connector to connect with your different systems that you wanted to integrate. Now let's talk about how to access Mulesoft Composer. So if you are a Mulesoft partner, you really need to connect with your Mulesoft channel manager or channel solution engineer, and they would be able to help you to get the access to Mulesoft Composer within your Mulesoft Anypoint platform that is hosted on cloud. And if you are a Salesforce partner, this is very easy for you. If you are a Salesforce partner, or if you are working for a Salesforce partner, you definitely be having access to partners salesforce.com. That's This is the website where all the company employees have the access, the partner companies employees. So what you need to do is you need to go to log into this URL, navigate to the support tab. There would be a tab, and I think due to recent changes, if you don't see the support tab, you might see a question mark that is indicates that you want to get the support. If you click on that question mark, you will navigate to the support. There you need to select new case on the top right, or maybe you will see a big button called new case. Then you have to select license request, and then the subject and description that you have to provide is that is for Mulesoft Composer license request, and you just need to ask the support team that okay, you want the Mulesoft Composer to be enabled for your Salesforce org, and make sure that you are giving them the Salesforce org ID. The Salesforce org ID you could get from the company information within your Salesforce. So once you do this within maybe within 24 hours, your Composer is going to be enabled into your Salesforce org. On a high level, Composer is a managed package that can only be installed by the Salesforce support team. You cannot get the link for the Composer, and you cannot install it by yourself. Let's talk about some of the use cases that I have listed down here. These are very simple use cases, and but very powerful use cases, as well as these are a few of them that you can use MuleSoft Composer too. So the very first thing is that let's say that you're working for a company called XYZ Corporation. It could be any company name, and their sales team is working over the Google Sheets, and they don't have access to Salesforce. But your lead team, or your sales some of the team is working on the Salesforce, and they really find it hard to basically get the leads from the Google Sheet, and then do the manual entry into the Salesforce lead object, and then work from there. So it's really consuming their time, their efficiency, and their operational efficiency is really at we'll say at very low. So they are not able to work. They're complaining that if there is any way that the leads, whenever a new lead is created into the Google Sheet, that lead can be directly created into Salesforce, that will be very helpful from them, for them, because they don't need to now get back and check for the leads every time, because they need to keep continuous into the lead into the Google Sheet to make sure that they are not missing any lead. So this is one of the URL, like whenever there is a new row added into the Google Sheet, your Mulesoft Composer is going to pick that row and send it to Salesforce. Now you can replace the target system to any other system. You can maybe send it to some other lead management system. It could be some HubSpot, Joho, or some other CRM. That's the one simple use case. Then we have got again, you're working for a company where they have got leads, they have got order management system. Now there are two different systems, and that's how order management works. Like you have one system where you are creating the orders, and then you have other systems that are intended for creating the invoices, processing the orders with the help of different warehouses. So that's what you are managing the orders into the Salesforce, but you are not processing the orders, you are not generating the invoices. You are using SAP system for generating the invoices. So now you want to send the data to SAP as soon as a new order has been created within Salesforce with the appropriate line items, right? In that case also, you could use Mulesoft Composer to send the data to SAP whenever an order is created. You can also have some maybe identifiers, so that if you want to generate the invoice, you can call the invoicing system from SAP to generate the invoice and get back the maybe the invoice ID or something, and store it in Salesforce for the reference purpose. Then again, there is a huge case. For example, you are working with the case within Salesforce. So whenever a case is escalated, or maybe whenever a case is created, you might wanted to send it over the Slack, because Slack is really becoming popular these days for the collaboration system. So most of the companies are adopting Slack. Most of the employees are working with the Slacks. They hardly go ahead and get into Salesforce to look into these cases or leads, right? So whenever a case or whenever a lead is created, you can go ahead, like you can use this Mulesoft Composer and send it to Slack system. And you can also send, let's say a case is escalated and then you wanted to send it to a manager or maybe a senior manager, you can also do that with the help of Mulesoft Composer. And then one more thing is that if you wanted to, let's say you have two different systems, one is Jira and one is Salesforce. So whenever there is a case created in Salesforce, you wanted to create a ticket in Jira. So a huge case is like, let's say your testing team, your QA team is working on finding finding the bugs or testing your solution. And if they find some issues, they are logging the, like they are creating a ticket or they are raising a case within Salesforce. And your developers are using Jira for the project management. So you want that case to be created within Jira so that developers can pick that up. That can also be done easily with the help of Mulesoft Composer. So these are some of the use cases that I have noted. One more use case that I am recently working on is migrating the files from one Salesforce org to another Salesforce org, because this has been really pain for any company or any client to migrate the file from one Salesforce org to another Salesforce org. And the reason is the structure, the data model for files is really complex in Salesforce, and it's really hard to manage the file migration. But Mulesoft Composer makes it very easy for us to migrate the files. So any questions so far? Any doubts, anything? Because you guys are not asking, so I'm just, anyone? Okay, seems like no one has a question, everyone is sleeping. Can we build complex integrations also? So Lakshmi, if you could maybe elaborate more on what complex integrations you're looking for, then I can maybe tell you something. So let me make you the presenter so that you can speak. Yep, so I've made you the presenter. So if you please go ahead and maybe explain your scenario.
Yeah, my scenario is like we have like Salesforce to NetSuite. So we have the sales order, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that sales order, so you can migrate it to the NetSuite. So normally we can use the custom objects and querying and is a normal procedure, right? Creating the APIs with the Salesforce and NetSuite. This MuleSoft Composer will help us like creating this scenario. I mean, we can.
I'm actually, I will say not. I didn't get the complete question, but I think I got the gist of it. What you are looking is, so you can definitely use the custom objects. First of all, in MuleSoft Composer, there is no such limitation. And
Mhm.
number two is like for processing, we have got multiple components like for loop. We have got FLs. We have got error handlers. So it's kind of getting bigger and better day by day, and we are
Okay.
able to handle. I think if you have so many things to process, maybe you might wanted to do the query. You might wanted to then again do the processing. If your solution is too complex, then I would not suggest to go with MuleSoft Composer, because it's really going to like, you can definitely develop it, but you really have to think of how you wanted to develop it, how you wanted to structure your flow.
Mhm.
So that's why there are some things that we'll talk about at the later point of key benefits or the limitations, where how or when we should choose MuleSoft Composer. But it's all
Okay.
but you can always, if you want to use custom objects, you wanted to query, you wanted to get update, delete, you wanted to do the processing, you wanted to have conditional statement, everything is there in the flow. So it's quite easy, and it takes like it makes you easy to choose the solution.
I mean, like I'm new to Mulesoft Composer. Like in the database, we do the mapping, right? Many mappings with the custom objects and merging the data, and then we send it to the other systems. So the same mappings we can do here when using Microsoft Composer.
Yes, yes. I'll let you know how you can map that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Siriniwas, is it handle batch process? So that's one of the, I will say, limitations of MuleSoft Composer, which I felt I have not used it for the batch processing, but I have seen like there are some cases which I have basically faced. Is sometimes if you are processing the data in batches, it actually misses some of the records, and you really don't know which record has been missed. But if you really wanted to handle the batch process, definitely there is a way. I'll let you know how you can handle that batch process easily in MuleSoft Composer, and you can reprocess your record. So basically, there are ways, there are workarounds for handling these kind of scenarios. But if you really wanted to handle the huge number of records, then MuleSoft Composer, you really need to think twice. Do you really want to use MuleSoft Composer? Okay. Okay. Any other questions that we have? Okay. I don't see any questions. So let's move forward with the key elements of our composer. Okay. These are the very important elements, and every composer is going to have these three key elements. One is your triggering system, one is your source. That means what is your source system from where you wanted to fetch the data. That is your trigger, that is your source. Maybe you wanted to send the data from Salesforce to Jira, or maybe from Google Sheets to Salesforce, maybe from Salesforce to Slack. So you really need to, because whenever you're doing the integration, there are always minimum two systems. One is going to be your source, one is going to be your target. Source is like from where you, and target is to, like from where to which system you wanted to send the data. So that is triggering is our, that is source, like what is our source of our data. Then we have got the processing, because now we, like, the source is giving us the data, and then we really wanted to process the data. We wanted to do the mappings, we wanted to maybe use some conditional statements. So every processing is going to happen within the processes. These are also known as the steps, the different in the integration or into processing our data or sanitizing the data, making it compatible to the target system. Everything that we can do within process. And the mapping question that you have asked is, this is where, this is how you would be mapping, like which field you wanted to map to which particular, like which target field you wanted to map to which source field. We will see more. And then the third one is target. Now you have received the data, you did the sanitization, you did the processing, you prepared the data. Now it's time to send the data to the target system. So this is going to be your target. The screen that you see is, it's for Jira, where we are sending the cases to the Jira system, and we are creating the cases into the Jira. So these are the three main key elements, like source, that is trigger, and then we have got process, and then we have got target. Now these are the steps, various steps to create the flows. Very easy. What you have to do is, you need to log into your MuleSoft Composer if you are in Salesforce, or if you are in MuleSoft Anypoint platform. You need to, once you click on new, like create flows, you really need to choose the connection. And here you are choosing which, what is your source system, what is your triggering system. Then you need to choose a trigger, like when you wanted to fetch the data. Like either it is on a creation of a record, or it is on a addition of a new row in Excel sheet, or it is updation of a record, deletion of a record. You really need to specify on which triggering point you wanted to fetch the data. Then we need to define the actions, we need to define the processes. Then step number 4 is very important, because we wanted to test our flow. And this is not like we should only test the happy path, we should always test all possible scenarios. Maybe there could be one error at one flow, there could be another error at one flow, so every possible scenario we should be testing. And once we are our testing is done, we should change the connection to the production, because we will always do the testing for the sandbox org. Then we will activate the flow, and then we will start monitoring the behavior of our flow, if there are any errors, if there are any failures. That's all about creating the flows into Mulesoft Composer. So let's talk about the scenario that we are going to take here. Is it's going to be pretty simple. That we are taking here is, we are going to talk about, if the case is created within Salesforce, we are going to send the message into the Slack channel. At the same time, we are also going to check if the case is created and status is escalated. We are also going to send a message to a person. Maybe that person is the manager of our support team. So this is what we wanted to cover today in this session. What all we need is, as a prerequisite, we need the sales channel. We need the Slack account. I have already the Slack account here. You could see I have got various channels here that says like sales channel. What I will do is, I'll create one more channel, and I'll name it as support channel. Okay. And in this support channel, basically what we have to do is, we are going to post whenever any case is created, we are going to post a message here that this case has been created. Okay. And if there is something, let's say if, some issue is there, if someone has escalated the case, then we are going to maybe send the message to me itself. Okay, we will say, this case has been escalated, please take a look into this. This is what we are going to see here. So this is my Mulesoft Composer. So you could see, this is a, I'm using Salesforce org first of all, that's why this Composer UI looks like this. But if you are a Mulesoft partner and you are using a Mulesoft any point platform, your UI might be different. Okay. And not might be, it's completely different. At least the first page is definitely different, and then the process and everything else is going to be same. So I have already got so many flows, like 15 flows, which I have tested for multiple times for multiple systems. Okay. Today we are going to create a new flow. So to create a new flow, what you have to do is, you really need to click on this new flow. This is a button which is going to take you to the flow record page, where you would be able to provide the details about your source, processing, and target. So how do we handle the exceptions, composer like target system unavailable? Yes, Rini, we'll check that in this demo itself, and you'll get to know. So you could see here, when we should start our flow. This is really important for us to know when we wanted to start the flow. Do we wanted to schedule the flow to run at a certain interval, maybe every day, every 15 minutes, or every 1 hour? Then we will use scheduler. Okay, that is scheduler. And then interaction. This is the one when we wanted our solution to be near real time. Near real times means your record is created within Salesforce. You wanted to immediately send the message to Slack. That is near real time. Or if I say my case is created in Salesforce and I wanted to run my flow every day, and then I basically kind of get all the cases which has been created today and then send it to the Slack message, that is scheduler. So in our case, the ideal way is, the best possible way is to use interaction and say that anytime a case is created, I'm going to send it to the Slack channel. Okay. So you can select the system event. Once you click on system event, you will see that these are the source available for us. These are the different sources available. For the source system, we don't have the HTTP connector, so you cannot connect the source system like any other source system apart from these that we have got here. I think 22 or some systems we have got here. So in our use case which we have just talked about, what is the target system? What is the source system? Can anyone put into the chat? Okay, good. So SFDC is our source system. So we will select Salesforce. And once you click on Salesforce, it's really going to display all the connections that you have here. I really have so many connections here. But if you don't wanted to use this, suppose that you wanted to create a connection that is not available here. So we have to click on this add new Salesforce connection, and it is just going to ask the name. Okay, so I'm going to say Faridabad Meetup Salesforce, and here there are two. This is the checkbox which is really like I'll say important for us to know. This is a checkbox. If, as we talked about, right, first we should create a flow into the sandbox, then only we should activate the flow to the production. So if you're working with Salesforce, or even I think Mulesoft also has sandbox organization, so you have to click on this checkbox for using Salesforce sandbox. For the demo purpose, we are using Salesforce developer org. I'm going to use this org itself. We are using Salesforce developer org, so we don't need to check on this checkbox. But if you are working for a client, make sure you are checking this checkbox, connecting it with the Salesforce sandbox, and then you are testing. And once your testing is completed, then change the connection and activate the flow. Then once we click on connect, it is really going to ask me to provide my username and password. Okay, my username and password that I have to provide here, this is basically using OAuth 2.0 open authentication. And if my username and passwords are correct, it's really going to, I have MFA enabled, so it's asking me to approve, otherwise it will not let me log in. So I've got the notification in my mobile. Once I have approved, you can see that now the login has been approved. And we are now, it is asking, do you really want this application to access these details like identity URL? That means it can access who am I, what are all my permissions. It can manage the user data. It can perform requests at any time. I would say, yeah, go ahead, I trust this application. Go ahead and allow this. So once you allow this, you will see a new success message here. We've got Faridabad Meetup Salesforce connection created. It started testing the connection immediately. It is going to test the connection, and everything is fine. We will see nothing happening. Okay, and now here, this is our trigger. Once a connection is created with the MFA, is there a possibility of the connection requesting MFA in the future and causing failures? I have not seen such scenarios so far, because it is taking, as I talk about, it is taking OAuth 2.0. So OAuth 2.0 has the capability of refreshing the token if the access token is expired. So that's what Salesforce is, MuleSoft Composer is using behind the scene. So you will not see such issues, and your flow will work. So we were talking about this trigger, this triggering point, right? So now if I click on this drop down, I see three options are there. When we wanted to send the data, either a new record or updated record, or delete record. So now what is going to be action for us here, as per our scenario? Shall we choose new or updated record, or shall we choose new record? Yeah, so I'll repeat the scenario again. The scenario is, whenever a new case is created within Salesforce, we wanted to send it to Slack channel. At the same time, we also wanted to check if the case is created and it is escalated, we wanted to send it to Slack. So anyone is there? Now, do we need to select anything else or something else? Like new is correct. Okay, I think new record makes sense because we did not talk about updating the record. We just talked about creating the record only. Okay, so we'll select new record. As soon as you select new record, it will ask which table you wanted to poll, which table you wanted to keep listening. That is new record, or it is like it is lead or case or many more objects. So we have case. Okay, so we are going to select case. Now it is telling me, do you want to provide some conditions? Do you want to have some conditions here? I can definitely put some conditions if I want. And one thing, if you notice here on the right hand side, this is a sample outcome. This is all the fields that I have within my case object. So if I click on this expand output, I will see all the fields here that are available within my Salesforce org with some dummy outcome. Then it is asking me what all fields you wanted to select. So what we wanted to send to Slack is case number, subject and description, priority and status. Okay, so let's click on select fields, and what we have to select is case number. So case number is a field here. Let's say case number. Then we are going to select priority. What's the priority of the case? Subject. What is the description? And then origin of the case. What is the origin of the case? Okay. So these are basically the only few fields we wanted to select. We wanted to send it to Slack. So that's why we are only selecting these fields. We are not selecting all the fields. Then you will see this apply button. Click on this apply button, and you will see that 5 fields are selected. Okay. Now once you have done the triggering point, you could see the trigger. It says trigger on new Salesforce in new record in Salesforce. So let's edit in, and we can say on new case record to make sure it is more readable, more like identifiable. Anyone sees this name, they can see, okay, it's talking about new case record. Okay, now this you see untitled flow, you can change the name. I'm going to say Faridabad meetup. Okay, there might be a typo mistake, please forgive me. SFDC to Slack. Okay, it should be Faridabad. Okay, and then click on apply and then save it. So once you save it, your progress is going to be saved. Now this is, you see there is a plus icon. This plus icon gives you the ability to add the new action. Now if you click on this plus icon, you will see four different options. One is interaction. Do you want to send the data to the third party system, to the external system? Here you can select multiple systems. Do you want to have some conditional statement, if or else block? Or do you want it to process each record that you get? If you have multiple records like collection, you can use for each. And then to your question, how the MuleSoft composer handles the error is error handler. This is, but this is really powerful that MuleSoft team has came up recently. So error handler basically is something that you might want to use to be more cautious about your systems that could be failure. Like let's say if you're sending the data to SAP, and chances are that SAP system is down, so you wanted to make sure that you are handling this situation. Okay, or maybe we are sending the data to Slack. There are chances that Slack system is down because at the end it is also hosted into the cloud. So in that case, what we will do is we'll use error handler. Now we should only use error handler whenever we know that this particular system could create a failure for us, can cause a failure for us, because this error handler has two parts. So we will select error handler just to cover the error handler part, and you will see that it has two parts. One is watch and one is on error. Okay, so this watch component is going to contains all the steps that can cause the error. So let's say you are sending the system to SAP, you're creating a invoice in SAP, you need to add this step here. If like in our case we are sending the data to Slack, so we are going to send the information here, we are going to add the system here. Okay, and then this on error components contains two things, like there are two type of error. So if you are from a MuleSoft background, you would be easily able to relate it with the concept called on error continue and on error propagate. Okay, so on error continue lets you to continue to the next step, right? Like it does the processing whatever you have within error handler, and it lets you to continue to the next flow. Similarly, in the on error continue, if you say okay continue and you add the processing, add the business logic, maybe loggers, and then it is going to continue the next step that we have. Or if you say you wanted to have on error stop, so it's going to process whatever you have here, and it's not going to let you execute the other steps. But if you see, if I click continue, that stop button is not here. So the concept is same, like they have done in like in Mulesoft, the same is there in the composer as well. So we will say on error stop, so that it can stop the execution, and we get to know what the error is. So in the error handler watch part, we are going to add a section. Now we are going to click on plus icon. You will again see the four options. So you can have nested on errors, and you could have nested systems. One thing that I would show is there is one another on error. You could also have on error one more, like this is out of scope because this is stop. So you can say on error continue, and then you can say on error stop. Okay, so you can have multiple on errors as well, like you can have multiple on error in Mulesoft. The same similar concept is here as well. So we'll click on plus, and this time we wanted to send to the Slack, that is our target system. So we will click on system action, and this time we'll select Slack because this is where we wanted to send the information. Now for the target system, as we talked about, we have HTTP connector. So you could use this connector as well if your system is not available here. But our Slack is available, so we will click on Slack. Again, you will see multiple connections that I have found. I can click on, because we really need to add a new connection, so we will click on new. Again, it will ask us the name, so we'll say, sorry, Faridabad meetup. I am going to say Slack. And once I click on connect, it's definitely going to ask me to basically connect with my Slack. Okay, so let me pull that screen here as well. So you could see here, my workspace is PantherSchools. If you have other workspace, you can select that, and then it is asking me, okay, do you want to allow? I'm going to click on allow button. That's how we are going to work. You will see the message here. Again, this is Slack. We can say uh, post to channel. What is the action? What action we wanted to take? So we wanted to post message to a channel. Okay, so like there are so many messages. We can even create a channel. We can get the user by email. We can send a direct message. You can send the direct message to multiple users. You can also use users into the connection. So things that you could use. Yeah, so we are going to select post message to a channel because that is what we need. Now it is asking us what is the channel. So we already have a channel, so we'll click on the search icon and we'll click on pick list from list, sorry, pick from list. So we are going to select our channel, that is we created support channel. So our channel is there. Now what is the message we wanted to send? So we wanted to send a message where we will say a new case has been created, and we are going to save the details like what is the subject, what is the status, what's the priority, what is the description. That's all we are going to send, right? So what we'll do is we'll use custom expression. This custom expression is nothing, it's a formula editor for us, and you really can write the formulas here, like add days or something. Some of the formula you can write it. So what we need is we will say a new case has been created, and below are the details. And we wanted to have a new line, so to have the new line we are going to use /n and one more line, so we are going to use two lines. Okay, and you would see here the syntax, it will say okay, it is a valid syntax. Now we wanted to send we wanted to say, let's say, case subject. What is the case subject? Then we could get the data about case subject, the case which has been created, from the data tab. You see here data tab, you will see case new record, and you can only see the fields which we have selected. So we have to select case subject, then use /n for the new line, and let's say case description. Then we have description here, again /n, we can say case priority. Similarly we can do for like we would say case origin, and then here before case subject we could put case number, so that the customer can easily know which case number, not customer, our team can easily get to know which case number is there. And you would see here the syntax, we would see it is valid. You could always use operators, the operators you want. You could always use functions, especially when you wanted to work with the dates. You can always use these functions, like there are functions related to numbers as well. This message is valid, we can go ahead and apply, and you will see this is the message that we are going to send to Slack. So this is our action that we have got. I hope everyone is okay till now. No questions, no confusion. Okay. So we have got here, then we have got on error, right? So we would say on error is stop, and we definitely wanted to know if there is any error happening. We wanted to maybe log into Salesforce custom object, or maybe we wanted to send it some external object. It could be Splunk, ELK, or any other tool, right? For now, I'm going to use Salesforce. I already have an object called that is okay. Let me duplicate this tab. So I already have an object called, I think, Mules composer errors or something, where I have 2 3 fields. So I'm not going to show the setup, like I'm going to say errors. Yeah, composer errors is my object. And if I okay, so if I go to this, maybe open any error. Oh, it's not letting me open. Okay, so if I open any error, right? This was earlier I was testing. So you would see what is the payload. We might wanted to store what is the payload which failed, so that we can take it for the further processing. What is the description and what is the error type? Okay, these are just the 3 fields that I have created. You can create multiple fields as per your business need. So what we will do is we'll say, okay, if there is any error, we are going to stop the flow, and then we are going to store the error into our Salesforce system. So our system is going to be, our interaction is going to be system action, connection is Salesforce, and as this is my own org, we have already connected. So I'm going to select Faridabad meetup. What is the action? New record, create new record. You see here we have got multiple now. We have got upload files, we have got download files. That's why I'm talking about migration of the files. So we will select create new record. Now again, it will ask which object you wanted to create, which table is there in Salesforce that you wanted to create the entry for. Okay, so I'm just going to save it to make sure I've got it. Now here we will select composer. Composer error is my object, and it will ask me to select which field you wanted to create. So this is our field, like error description, error type, and payload. So again, someone asked for the mapping, how we do the mapping. This is how we do. This is our target system, that is Salesforce itself. These are some of the fields where we wanted to send the data. So we will select what fields we wanted to send the data to. We'll click on apply, and this is, there are 3 fields that we need to map. So whenever you have this on error, like Mulesoft, you get multiple details. Similarly in Salesforce, you get an error handler, and you get description, you get error type. So you could select the description, you could select the error type, and for the payload, you can send the information that you wanted to send to. Okay, maybe let's say I'm going to use the same payload here that I have used. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'll use the same payload here to tell that this is the case which has been created, but there was some error. Okay, so just did the copy paste, and that's fine. So our error handler part is also covered. Now one thing, see, if you see here, now our flow is really ready. We are able to test it because this is what we wanted to have. The escalation part we are not covering. So that's what we have got here, right? Now we need to test because our flow is ready. We really need to test it. So this, you see, there are two buttons called activate and sorry, there is two, but there is one button called test. There is one button called activate. So you wanted to test it, so you have to use this test button. Before I click on this test button, I would like to tell you that sometimes Mulesoft Composer, whenever you're testing, the Mulesoft Composer really takes much time rather than expected. Okay, so once we click on test, and if it does not pick up the record, please don't blame me that my demo is not working, because that's how Salesforce Mulesoft Composer is working. So to test it, we have to click on this test button. It's going to save our flow. It's going to wait for the test to be started. Once the test is started, we will see a timer here, and we get 10 minutes to create a record into our source system, or update or delete whatever our triggering system is. And then within the 10 minutes, it's going to keep listening for the record, and then if it finds, it is going to do the processing. So you could see here it says testing, and these are the minutes that are remaining for us. So we will quickly go ahead and create a new case, because that is our target system. The subject, where is the subject? Oh god. Okay, subject is here. I'm going to maybe, there is status, let's say working, priority is high, case origin could be phone, type, case reason. Okay, this is what we have got. I've got so many things in my org, so that's why I really find it hard to get the details, but that's fine. Now let's go ahead and click on save. So once we click on save, our case is going to get created. We will see here we are within the case detail page. On the right hand side, you could see all the details about the case, the status, the priority, KPIs, every single thing is here about my case. And then this, we are still waiting for the trigger to pick up our case. Sometimes it really takes time to pick up the case. If not, if it is not going to pick this time, we are definitely going to do the test again, and it will pick up the case. So please have patience, and it will pick up the case. The reason it's taking time, because it is hosted, I believe it's hosted on Anypoint platform, so that's why it takes some time to take it. But when once you test it, once you activate it, this is not going to take much time. It's near real time. It's immediately going to pick the record. So there is a question while mapping, if we want to into the fields, like example date format. Yes, we have talked about, right, there are formulas, functions. While the mapping, I've showcased multiple formulas there. You can use that formula, you can use those formulas to do the formatting. That is there. Okay, is there any way to check the make the Slack message dynamic instead of hard coding it? I really didn't get what you're saying dynamic. We are already making it dynamic, because we are taking case subject, we are taking priorities, we are taking origin. That is dynamic. It is going to pick up based on whatever is there in the case. Is it, do you meant to anything else? The text part of message which does not contain SF values. So what you wanted to make it dynamic? Okay, Rohit, can we make Sahil presenter?
I don't have the right.
Sorry. Okay, so it really took some time to process the record, but you could see here the test has been finished, and we could see the green check marks here that says that okay, our processing has been completed successfully. And we could also see the message to the Slack has been sent. This is the channel ID, this is the timestamp, and the error, there was no error, so the on error part was not executed. Now if you go to the Slack channel, this is our support channel. If you go here, and you would see that these are all the details we are sending from Salesforce to Slack. Okay, so you could see here a new case has been created, and below are the details, and these are the case number, these are the subject, this is the description, this is the priority, this is the origin. So that is basically.
Hey, Amit, sorry to interrupt you. Just would like to clarify on that question. So what I meant is the message that you are receiving on Slack right now, if I wanted to further modify it, maybe add in some greetings at the top, change how the formatting of this message looks like, I'll have to come and edit the flow. Is there a way in which I can store this message in some sort of a variable and only change the value of that variable instead of editing the flow every time?
So if you really wanted to make it dynamic, that's not possible here. The reason, it's not an Apex processing where you could use store it into Salesforce metadata and then do the processing within your Apex. That is something going to take a lot behind the scene to process that. But if you just have some messages like some text messages that you really wanted to have, that you can definitely, let's say you wanted to keep this as a separate, maybe within a variable, maybe within a custom label or within custom metadata, and you might wanted to change it maybe within every 3 months, that you can do, that's possible. But if you want this part as well dynamic, then it's quite bit difficult here within Composer to make it dynamic. The message, text message definitely can be made dynamic within a variable, or variable, when I say it is a custom label or custom metadata, you can always put it there.
Got it. But this would have to come from Salesforce, right? Composer won't allow you to create variables.
Composer won't allow, yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, can we integrate with multiple source target systems? Yes, you could integrate, but one flow can have only one source. It can have multiple targets, but source will always be one. If you want to have different sources, you have to create different flows. Okay, so any other questions? So we are not able to cover the, like we are not able to showcase this error handler part. The reason is that because we really have to figure it out a scenario where the error comes. But in the whenever you are developing it for your clients, for your company, you really need to make sure this part, you definitely have to at least do something to showcase, throw the error. Maybe you could throw the error forcefully or something. You definitely have to do that. Whatever the connection available in Composer, we can. Okay, that's the answer, I think, for the above question. Okay, so let's talk about the key features and the benefits. So because every tool has its own pros and cons, so it has some pros and cons. One is like it's basically design and built-in integrations. Like basically you really don't need to do anything, you just need to use plus icon and then select whatever you want, and you would be able to do whatever the processing or the business logic you wanted to put within the steps. There are pre-built connectors and templates that you can utilize for your systems. When we say pre-built connector and templates, there is a tab called templates within Salesforce, and I believe the same will be available within Mulesoft as well. So this like this tab provides you the multiple templates for different system integrations. Like this is for Jira, this is for ServiceNow, and this is I think for Salesforce. Then we have got NetSuite. For now, we have got these much systems here for different use cases. So you could always use these templates if you have some use case. If not, then you have always the flexibility of creating your own template. You can always preview and build with the real-time data that we have already seen. We have got built-in monitoring and automated error alerts, so you could always so there is also error where you can monitor the errors is like you can go to the flow. I have to this flow, my flow is active. This is one of my previous flows that I have developed. So this is active, and so once I click on that flow, I would be able to see the run history here. So if there is any error, I would see that error here. If not, then I would see that okay, everything is successfully working fine. So this is where you would also see the errors if there is error, and we already have seen the error handler capability where you can have the error handlers for handling the error in a better scalable way. Okay, and we have also talked about the transformations using expressions and formulas. So there are transformations that you can utilize, and we have already seen, I think one of the question was there. So there are formulas for different things. So if I again go to the flow and edit it, I'll showcase that this is where you could use format the dates, because date formatting is again was a painful when they started Mulesoft Composer, but now it's really great. So if you click, these are the functions. You could say add days. These are for the adding. Okay, and then if you keep scrolling, you will see some other methods. And if you keep scrolling down, you would say formatting the date. Okay, so these are the formats. So basically, you could format and you could also get the details. Then you have got string functions. Then you would also see, I think, some numbers. So there are so many functions, and Salesforce is trying to put more and more. They are trying to give us more and more after every release. Now let's talk about the limitations that we have for Composer. The limitation is like it can only be set up into the production environment, cannot be set up in sandbox. MuleSoft Composer shall be installed into your main org. From the main org, you could integrate multiple systems. It will have multiple flows. The concurrency is basically the 25, the organization concurrency that you could have 25, not more than that. IPs are very dynamic. This is really important. The IPs for your MuleSoft Composer are dynamic, so they cannot provide you the static list of IP. So if your company is working behind the firewalls and they want your systems to access within the certain IP range, your Composer is not going to work for that solution. For example, if my let's say I wanted to integrate with say Jira or GitHub or maybe other system, but that is only accessible within the company firewall, within the company's whitelisted IPs, then we can only, like, we cannot use this because Milsort Composer cannot give you the IP address. So this Milsort Composer is going to get ruled out. And Milsoft Composer cannot perform the bulk operations. As I earlier said, you really need to think twice. If you wanted to perform the bulk operation, does it really need it to be Milsoft Composer or it has to be Milsoft? Because Milsoft Composer cannot really, it is again my observation. I really don't know if it works or not, but my observations are like if you use bulk operations, it really misses some of the records and you cannot really identify which record has been missed. So that's what we had. Anything? Okay, any questions? Or before we go ahead, like, please join our group, that is meetup.milsoft.com Faridabad. Do share in Twitter, LinkedIn, tag us, ask your fellow team members or ask your fellow colleagues to join our LinkedIn page, provide the feedbacks, and if you really wanted to speak at the event, please contact us from the meetup page, and we would be happy to host you. So that's it from my side. Any questions or anything that we have, I'm happy to take. Okay, I don't see anything coming up.